Did you know that as many as 60% of bar exam takers fail the bar exam? That was the exact stat in February 2023. So here's exactly what you need to know to make sure that you're not in that 60%, that you're in that narrow 40%, and make sure that you pass the bar exam. In order to be successful on the bar exam, aspiring attorneys need to know these 4 things in order to succeed and pass. The first and most important one is you are going to fail the bar exam, not pass it, by just passively sitting there and watching lectures. Now, what I mean here is the big ticket providers out there are fantastic at providing you with an amazing wealth of knowledge. All of that information will be tested potentially on the bar exam. So yes, you do need to have the subject matter solid. You do need to understand the black letter law and the exceptions to the rules. Absolutely. And yes, the way that you'll probably get that information, very similar to law school, is by watching lectures. So for example, if you have not taken a certain subject that's going to come up on the bar exam, let's say evidence, for example, that is a perfect place to start. If you didn't take the subject at law school, watch the lectures and really dig into it to get all that lovely information. Now, the big key difference here between law school and the bar exam is in law school, you are tested on your ability to remember the facts of a case specifically, and you are tested on your ability to read a wealth of information, analyze it, and be able to argue for and against, right? The bar exam is slightly different. It's a practical professional exam, and what the bar examiners are asking you is, can you lawyer? Not, can you give me all of the information that you have just memorized in your head from all the outlines? Very subtle difference, but that will take you from the 60% of people that fail the bar exam to the 40% that pass. Much like your driver's exam, right? So you obviously had to read some theory books and understand exactly like the laws of the road, but you were being tested on your ability to drive the car and navigate that in a practical situation. That's literally the bar exam. So where for your driver's test, you didn't go and read your car manual to learn how to drive the car. You may have done, but that's not going to be the exact reason. And most people will not pass their driver's test by literally reading that car manual of how exactly the engine works and all that good stuff. Most people pass their driver's test by practicing driving the car. And I literally need you to do the exact same thing when it comes to your bar exam prep. I don't want you to just sit there watching outlines for the entire of your bar prep and thinking that just by watching that little like sliding scale that you have at the top of your screen with your course provider that says the percentage of stuff that you've gone through, that just by hitting that magic 100% or 90%, having just watched all the lectures and read all the outlines, that you're now going to pass the bar exam, right? Wrong. That is literally a recipe to put yourself in that 60% of failures. What I need you to do is, yes, get that information and like, if, as I say, if you didn't study evidence, absolutely you should spend that time getting that black letter law down. But what I need you to do is now practice with that information. What does that look like in reality? Like, how are the bar graders actually going to present an evidence essay question to you? If you don't know that, then you're going to be figuring out for the first time what that looks like in the bar exam, and that is the worst case scenario. I need you to practice and schedule in time to practice with the real NCBE questions, not just simulated questions. And for all my rant on all of this, please check out one of my former videos on how to select a course provider. That will basically give you a brief overview. But what you really need to do here is consistently schedule in time to practice with real NCBE questions, because ultimately the NCBE questions are the ones that you will see on bar exam day. So set yourself up for success. Do not expect to pass the bar exam by just passively watching outlines. You need to put in that purposeful work and practice with real NCBE questions. So that's the first of 4 things that I need all aspiring attorneys writing the bar exam to know. Okay, now we've got that nailed. The second thing that I need all aspiring attorneys to know when they're writing the bar exam is that you cannot focus on completing a certain number of things in order to determine whether or not you're going to pass or fail the bar exam. Much as I just said with the practice of practicing for your driving exam, like, just because I've done 10 hours of driving practice does not mean I'm now going to pass my driver's test. Same difference when it comes to the bar exam. What you need to know is have that solidness and like solidity in your mind that you know exactly how to do exactly the things that the bar graders are asking. So yes, for Joe Blogs on this one hand, 10 hours of driving practice may be exactly what they need to pass the bar exam. But for Joette Blogs on this other side, they might actually need 50 hours in order to pass, the driver's test. Let's talk about the 3-point turn, because that's an exact answer. Like, some people find the 3-point turns really easy, some people find them really, really hard. And that exact thing is going to happen when it comes to the bar exam. The bar graders are so smart and they know you're smart. And so they literally test you on on certain things that they know that 90% of people will do if they haven't practiced. And again, just like learning to drive, the bar graders are asking you, can you lawyer? Can you get out of the habits and the mistakes that 90% of people will make so that you can become one of the 1% in the country, basically, I don't know the exact stat, but you can become a qualified attorney. And that's a high threshold to meet. So yes, it may be a minimum competency exam, but they're asking you, can you train yourself to perform in this specific type of way? You're showing specific types of logic pattern. You're showing that you're able to follow through from start to finish a legally reasoned way of thinking. And yes, that's slightly different to what you're being asked to do at law school, but they're asking you in a practical way. This is all they can go off. They don't know you. All they can go off is, can you pass this exam, as to whether or not you should now be released on the public. So for this like 2-3 day period, what you can do to set yourself up for success is train yourself to produce the answers in exactly the way that the bar graders expect to see them, so that you can get your license. That's literally all they're asking you, much the same as when you do your driver's test. So by passively going through a process and thinking that you've just done, I don't know, 90% of a course and you've not actually engaged with it, you've set yourself up to fail. So the second thing that I need you to know as you enter this bar prep period and you prepare to write the bar exam is, don't just be lulled into this sense of, well, I've completed 90% of the course or 75% of the course, which my provider says I need to do to pass, to be able to pass. Actually, if you just passively do that, you are putting yourself firmly in that 60% of people that fail. You need to put yourself in the purposeful work category, that 40%, and ensure that actually you know how to do your 3-point turn. So hopefully that's making some sense. Now let's move on to number 3. Third thing that I need every aspiring attorney to know as they approach the bar exam is that they need to be putting in purposeful work. So we've talked about not just being passive and watching lectures and outlines and focusing on completion time, and now we're talking about that purposeful work. And what do you mean, Kai? People always ask me when I'm talking about purposeful work. What I mean here is, are you able to come away from every single study session knowing exactly what you've achieved today? That's how I want you to be able to be. So basically what that means is, I need you to be really, really focused as you approach your bar prep time that you've allotted. I want you to put your phone away. Like, why would you have all these distractions? I want you to shut the door. I want you to literally open those outlines. I want you to open that MBE practice book, and I want you to be present for the time that you're doing it. And don't just sit there and think that that the information is just going to slot into your head and that's going to be how you pass the bar exam. So for example, if I'm watching a lecture, I want you to take some notes, and actually probably take them by hand. Because actually the process of writing the notes out, you have to be succinct, and you'll actually be slotting in that information that you actually need to know. So you're actually actively learning it, right? And then when it comes to practice questions, which you should be doing, literally there is no it's too early to start. People always think that too. They think it's too early and they don't know enough information to practice, right? Did you ever think it was too early for you to get into the car when you were practicing driving? I don't think you did. Same difference, right? Practice makes better. It's a consistency and a practice thing more than a perfection thing. I didn't get into the car to practice driving for my driver's test when I was ready to pass the test. Otherwise, that's just logically impossible. It just doesn't make sense, right? Same difference when it comes to preparing for the bar exam. So when you sit down and you start preparing, and you're like, okay, right, today I'm gonna start off with 10 MBE questions, right? I need you to give yourself exactly the amount of time that 10 MBE questions takes when it comes to the bar exam. And that's the time that I want you to take as you sit and you focus undistracted. So no phone calls, no texting, no music, exactly how you would write it in the bar exam. I need you to sit and focus on those MBEs for that allotted amount of time. And then I want you to get up out of your chair. I want you to go make a cup of tea, a coffee, take a second away. And I want you to come back and review those MBEs, why you got them right, why you got them wrong, one by one by one. Now, start off easy one. The easiest thing to do is look at the questions that you got correct and move them to the side. We don't really care about the questions that you got right, because if you got them right now, you'll probably get it right on bar exam day. If it was a question mark and you were kind of between two choices, yes, I do want you to look at that one, because ultimately it was like a 50-50 toss up and you were between two answers. And if it comes to bar exam day, there's a 50% chance that you might have picked the other answer. So review that question. Why is it that you ultimately picked the correct answer and you didn't pick the incorrect answer? Then move on. Once you've noted that down, move on. Was it a law issue? Was it a testing issue? Whatever. I want you to spend the most time on the questions that you got wrong, because ultimately that is where you are going to pass the bar exam. Those questions, so as much as people hate the questions they got wrong, actually that's your secret to success right there. That's your secret sauce. If you spend your time there knowing exactly why you got the question wrong, you are maximizing your score now when it comes to bar exam day, because you're getting it wrong in practice so you can get it right on bar exam day. So that's what I mean about purposeful work. Same difference with your essays, right? I want you to actually, under timed conditions, read and write out an answer to an essay question. And then what I want you to do is to review the bar grader's perfect answer to see whether or not you missed things. Were there certain things in the fact pattern that just completely went over your head? Because actually, when it comes to bar exam day, if that was in the NCBE answer, the bar graders would have expected you to pick that out. So ultimately, you're then closing that knowledge gap to understand this is what the bar graders are asking for on the one hand, and this is what I produced. And ultimately, what you want to do is the bar grader's answer and the answer that you produce come together and they are the same thing. So you're always hitting those points. Because ultimately, another thing that people don't really think about when they're studying for the bar exam is what the bar graders do when they grade your papers. Now, your bar grader, like whoever gets your paper when you've written the bar exam, is not your law school professor. They don't sit here and think, oh, you know what, Sally or Sam Blogs right here, you know, they're my star student, and I know that they were really engaged in my lectures, in my classes, in my tutorials, and I do know that they understand the concept here, so I'm going to give them a bit of extra credit here, because they were kind of on the right lines, but it kind of doesn't make too much sense here. The bar graders are not the same. They do not know you. They don't know that you were your professor's favourite. They don't know that you scored 100 out of 100 when it came to that midterm test on constitutional law. They don't know you. All they can go off is the information that you provide them. And so this is why I say it's super important that you put in that purposeful work. You need your answers to look exactly like the bar graders want to see them when it comes to bar exam day. So that is the third most important thing that I could ever tell any aspiring bar taker. Make your answers look like the bar graders expect to see them. Super simple. Okay, so we've gone through not being passive in your approach to bar prep. We've gone about being purposeful and really drilling down into getting the answers correct and putting in that purposeful work. And the last most important thing that I want you to know as an aspiring attorney and bar exam taker is to be committed through the bar exam process. What do you mean, Kai? This is what I mean. Like 6 months from now, when you're waiting for your results from the bar exam, you are not going to remember the event that you cancelled. You're not going to remember the coffee that you bailed with your friend. You're not going to remember the distractions, the text that you sent 15 minutes into bar exam, you know, when you were doing a timed question. You're just not going to remember it. But you will remember if you're in that 60% and you fail. You will remember how sick you feel when you're like, well, I should have just put in that time then. I should have just closed the door. I should, for the time that I was studying for that short period, just said no. I should have carved out that time. I should have just not, you know, digressed and decided I was going to cancel the day with my study prep and I was just going to go off and do, I don't know, binge watch Netflix. You will remember that awful feeling and you won't probably remember the show that you watched. So set yourself up for success. When you create your study plan, commit to it. And you should only be deviating from your study plan and that commitment to yourself to study if there's a really extenuating reason. And ultimately what I would have hoped is that as you were planning and preparing, you've also like factored in days to counter, for example, if you do need to cancel. So anyway, there's going to be another video. So if you check out my channel, there's going to be another video there, if not already, on exactly how to set yourself up for success with a study schedule. But basically what I'm telling you is once you have committed to yourself that you are going to be studying for this allotted time, do it. And because honestly, it's a consistency thing, as I was saying. Like, you did not rock up to your driver's test and pass it because you, I don't know, practiced once 6 months ago and then you had another go like a week ago. That's not how you pass, or like most people do not pass that way, and they'll firmly find themselves, if you map out that thinking for the bar exam, you'll find yourself in that 60% of failures. Put yourself in that 40% of passes by being consistent, showing up for yourself, by setting boundaries, by being reasonable. And like being reasonable with yourself is the main thing here, because you've committed to yourself that you want to do this. So why would you not do it? Like, show up for yourself. This is the bare minimum we're asking for. You have worked too long and too hard to not show up for yourself in this moment. And you've worked too hard and too long to not say no to things that just don't matter right now. So that's what I'm saying is really be purposeful and consistent with your work, because ultimately it's that consistency that will manifest when it comes to bar exam day. So Basically, those are my 4 key things that I need every single aspiring attorney to know. I need you to not be passive and just sit and watch lectures and think that you're going to pass the bar exam. I need you to not think that because you've just hit off a certain percentage of a course that you're now going to pass the bar exam. What I need you to do is be super purposeful with every piece of work that you do. Every time that you show up to your desk, I need you to sit in exam conditions because that's exactly how you're going to be tested. So why not practice exactly being in that situation from the start? And I need you to be committed. I need you to set a boundary, and I need you to be rigid about it and consistent with yourself, because ultimately it's that consistency that's going to take you out of that 60% of people that fail and into that 40% of people that pass. So that being said, that is today's coffee chat done. I hope this was super useful to you and you've gained some insight, especially if you're preparing for the bar exam. You're going to be awesome. Just think about everything that you've already achieved so far. You've worked so unbelievably hard for this moment. And these are all the hard-earned things that I learned to do to get me to pass. I did not pass first time. And actually, if I had learned to do all of these things I've just told you, I would have passed a hell of a lot sooner. So please don't make the same mistakes that I did. Please set yourselves up for success. It's absolutely possible to pass this thing. Yes, it's grueling. Yes, it sucks. Yes, there'll be cancelled plans. There'll be late nights. There might even be some tears. But ultimately, it is worth it. You will pass. You will move on with your life. And you'll become the most amazing qualified attorney that will serve the community and your clients in the best way possible. So please don't give up. This is a short amount of time. You're in the last home stretch before all of those wonderful dreams come true. So yeah, keep going, keep pushing, keep persevering. If you want to see more content like this, please like, comment, subscribe. Any questions, please drop them down below in the comments box. And I will do my best to answer them. If not in a future video, definitely in the comments. And yeah, I'm super excited for you as we continue this journey. So that is today's coffee sized chat, and I shall see you at the next one.